Hello again, everybody, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, cats and kittens, dogs and fucking puppies, and all you motherfuckers out there. If you're probably staying at fucking home, unless you're one of these stupid ass spring breakers who's catching the fucking virus and spreading all over the fucking place. Welcome to the Wrestling Enthusiast Real Talk podcast. I am E. Peralta, otherwise known as the Wrestling Enthusiast. Today, coronavirus updates. When is this fucking shit gonna be over? And is the president still a fucking moron? Take a quick guess at what answer I think that fucking thing is. That Pete shit twat is definitely losing his fucking patience or losing his fucking mind. I say it's both. Also, we're gonna take a look at talk wrestling for a little bit. We'll talk about PCW Ultra promotion real quick, and then also talk about some other wrestling like MLW. And what do you think about Matt Hardy and the teleportation thing? Is it fucking crazy? Is it cool? Or is it just plain fucking stupid? But anyway, so yes, we're in our third episode here. If you are listening in, I'm glad that you're joining us. I'm glad you are joining in on the fun, excitement, the ranting, the explosive nonsense that's going on in this fucking quarantine-filled planet. Especially all the idiots out there that are fucking using an excuse to buy fucking toilet paper and hoarder the fucking markets. I say let's take a look at the news, shall we? Let's take a look at the news and see what's going on right here first, and then we'll start talking about what's been going on here, especially with over 1 million cases now worldwide. God, you fucking people. What the fuck is wrong with you? Stay the fucking home. But anyway, let's talk a little bit about news for a minute here. A report from the CDC, the nation's top infectious disease expert, said Thursday that he doesn't understand why every state in the United States hasn't issued a stay-at-home order as the novel coronavirus cases continue to surge across the country. Dr. Anthony Fauci from the CDC says, in quote, "I don't understand why that's not happening," as he told CNN's Anderson Cooper during CNN's coronavirus town hall meeting, which, by the way, I try to question themselves since they like to fucking fear-mongrel. And they like to spread fear on their propaganda. But anyway, more than 30 states and the District of Columbia have ordered their residents to stay at home. Fauci said governors that have held out thus far really should reconsider with the number of U.S. cases passing 236,000 nationwide on Thursday and continue to climb. Yep, that's right, folks. We have officially become number one again. We have become number one in coronavirus cases, surpassing China, surpassing Italy. Because a lot of people in this country have lost their fucking mind. They try to stay at home. You gotta stay at home. If this fucking disease is gonna keep spreading, especially if there's absolutely no symptoms and there's no indication, whether you have a cough, whether you have a cold, or whether anything, if you just feel sick, stay the fuck home. But of course, I digress. Now, of course, as many people out there, there's another story that I'd like to take a look at because I was mentioning something about spring breakers who are basically just as fucking stupid and ignorant. Here's a fucking headline for you. More than 40 spring breakers who ignored the public health advice test positive for coronavirus. Dozens of spring breakers from Texas boarded a plane. Let's see what happens here. By the time they came home, they ended up with the fucking coronavirus. So anyway, about 70 people in their 20s chartered a plane from Austin, Texas to Mexico for spring break 2 weeks ago. They went against the advice of the White House officials who asked the people avoiding gathering in groups of more than 10 people and non-essential air travel. Now, 44 of those people have tested positive for coronavirus, all of them University of Texas at Austin students. A university spokesman told CNN on Wednesday. An elected official had a blunt message for the spring breakers: quit being an ass. As House Speaker Dennis Bonin told CNN affiliate KXAN, get over yourselves. Whether you thinking this is an issue or not, it is. Whether you think it could affect you or not, it does. The reality of it is, if I'm a college kid who's going to spring break in Mexico, you're affecting a lot of people. Grow up. That's right, you jock-sniffing motherfuckers. You guys are getting exactly what you fucking deserve, which is coronavirus. It's spreading all over your lungs. It's spreading all over your body parts. Spreading all over your brain, giving you that 102+ degree fever. Just because you think that you could defy shit. Even though we're at stay-at-home fucking orders, whether we like it or not. I bet you if anything, this situation could be happening if you stop being a fucking asshole. And usually it's a bunch of these jock-sniffing pricks. These are these stupid motherfuckers. Oh, yeah, I'm going to go and get me some chicks. Oh, yeah, spring break. Fucking asshole. You know what I say? It's natural selection at its finest. If they die, I don't give a shit. I'm going to laugh. I'm going to laugh when they're buried 6 feet under or cremated in a fucking urn. And maybe I'll fucking steal that urn and fucking put it in a litter box so I can have a random cat take a giant shit on it. But, of course, I digress once again. Anyway, next headline is Americans likely won't see direct payments from the coronavirus stimulus bill until at least April 13th. Or it could take up to 20 weeks for all the checks to be mailed. Trump administration officials told lawmakers, according to a House Democrat memo obtained by CNN. The timeline means tens of millions of Americans will have to wait to get badly needed assistance, despite repeated early suggestions from Treasury Secretary Steven Mnuchin that the money would go out as soon as possible by April 6th. Mnuchin said on Thursday's White House coronavirus briefing that payments would go out within 2 weeks to people whose direct deposit details are on file with the government, echoing comments he made this past Sunday after passage of the $2.2 trillion stimulus bill that payments will not go out until mid-April. So, for those of you that are waiting for money, I have one giant suggestion for you. Apply for unemployment. I know a lot of people already have been thinking about doing something like that. I know it's not pretty, but it has to be fucking done. It has to be fucking done, especially if you're in need of the money. However, if you are looking for some sort of income so you can save money for God knows how long, one thing I will say, save fucking money. Now, what I did in my case, at least I saved my fucking money since the beginning of last year. And I'm happy to say it's been a wise decision. I ain't saying any more about my finances because it's nobody's fucking business. So speaking of fucking stimulus checks is something that stimulates the fucking mind, we're going to switch subjects and now we're going to change to wrestling news. Wrestling provided news articles provided by eWrestlingNews.com for the most convenient and most convenient wrestling news online 24/7, round-the-clock news. Reach on over to eWrestlingNews.com. All right, and the top story so far here. The Bella Twins their YouTube channel is killing it traffic-wise. Tops the most watched WWE network shows. I have no idea why this is so fucking popular, but I think it's just, God, what are you guys fucking thinking? But in my mind, I don't think that a lot of the people that like to watch the Bella Twins, I don't think they're really wrestling fans. I think they're more like reality television fans. It's like, oh God, reality television. We have to go back to that fucking mindset, don't we? Oh boy. As of writing, the Bella Twins are ranked number 1 on the YouTube most popular athlete shows. The two currently have over 2.7 million subscribers in comparison to Stephen Curry's ranked number 2 with 1.1 million subscribers. Ronda Rousey is ranked number 4 with 875,000 subscribers. All right, and a backstage report here with Pete Dunne stuck in the UK. And according to a report from the WON, the Wrestling Observer News Network, Pete Dunne is currently stuck in the UK, and due to this, he won't be appearing on NXT anytime soon. The main reason for this is because all flights are banned from coming into the United States. WWE Raw and SmackDown will begin airing live in Indonesia on Mola TV soon. Well, as many of you know now, almost every state in America, except for those other 18 states, we're pretty much Republican states, Republican-controlled states by Republican governors, the biggest fucking shitheads in my opinion. Well, every other state in America has issued a stay-at-home order. This includes Florida, Georgia, and Connecticut. AEW taped their television show at Cody Rhodes and QT Marshall's One Fall Power Factory gym in Norcross, Georgia. Yesterday, on Wednesday, Florida Governor Ron DeSantis issued a 30-day stay-at-home order that started at midnight. According to sources from AEW, taped a bunch of matches yesterday that will take place on the April 8th and the April 15th episodes of Dynamite. As cases of coronavirus are continuing to rise, it's more than possible that these stay-at-home orders will be extended. According to a report from the Wrestling Observer newsletter, AEW is said to have another backup plan in place in case if they need to use it. As far as WWE is concerned, both Florida, where the Performance Center and FSU are located, and Connecticut, where WWE's HQ is located, are both under stay-at-home orders, and they only got their TV taped through next week's NXT broadcast. It remains to be seen what they are planning on doing come next Friday's night SmackDown broadcast and the shows beyond the SmackDown broadcast. After an indie wrestling show in North Queensland, Australia, 3 fans have tested positive for COVID-19 following a pro wrestling power event. The local news says that in New Queensland, Australia, indicates that a workplace connection and an investigation is underway for those infected. Everyone who attended the show will be contacted to be tested. If everyone remains in good health, no further action will be taken. The risk rate still remains low for the area. Health officials are working hard to determine a source of the infection. An official statement was released by the venue. PCYC Queensland was today informed that a person who attended an external run wrestling event held by PCYC Edmonton on March 14th. This has been confirmed as contacting COVID-19. While the infected person did attend the event, Queensland Health have stated that event is now beyond the maximum incubation period. If anyone associated with the wrestling event has remained well, they should have no concerns. However, if you have signs of respiratory illness, please contact 13 Health or your medical provider immediately. Pro Wrestling Power also issued a brief statement saying on Facebook it has been announced that there is a workplace connection to the people that were in attendance of our event that had tested positive for COVID-19. The risk of public safety is considered low. If any of our fans have any concerns or are feeling unwell, please call the 13 Health and speak to a medical professional. One more thing to do now before the wrestling news segment will be over, before we talk about WrestleMania, is AEW Dynamite versus NXT viewership numbers. This week's episode of WWE NXT did 590,000 views on the USA Network, which is down from the previous week's show of 669,000 views, drawing a 0.15 rating, which is down from the previous 0.20 rating. AEW Dynamite on TNT pulled 685,000 viewers, which is down from last week's show, which did 819,000. They drew a 0.25 rating in the 18 to 49 demographic, which is down from the previous 0.34. So AEW wins another week once again in the ratings. So WrestleMania 36 is this weekend. I will review it next week's podcast episode, and I'll tell you my exact thoughts about it, and I'll tell you what I think about it. First looks, if I look down the list, in no particular order, we have the NXT Women's Championship will be Rhea Ripley, the champion, taking on Charlotte Flair. And we have the WWE Championship match between Brock Lesnar and Drew McIntyre, and I really hope fucking Brock Lesnar loses because I'm sick and tired of seeing that fucking blockhead hold the fucking title. And every time he fucking has it, that he always wants to fucking show up whenever the fuck he wants to. So I'm basically sick and tired of that shit. I'm tired of also him burying the fucking talent that's obviously very, very talented. So, they're very good, but athletic-wise. Promo-wise, they're probably not the best, but I will say, athletic-wise, you could get them doing something. But Vince is Vince, so he's a prick. Match number 3, it would be for the Universal Championship. The champion Goldberg versus Braun Strowman. I'm not going to say Roman Reigns because Roman Reigns has withdrawn due to he has an immunocompromised immune system due to him battling leukemia over in the past couple of years. So he has played the safe card and decided to withdraw from the show. I will say I hope he's doing well. I don't like his wrestling ability. I like his brawling ability, but not his wrestling ability. But either way and all that, hopefully he's doing well. Next up is the WWE Raw Women's Championship match. Becky Lynch against Shayna Baszler. I think I know where this match is going, and I think Baszler might win this one. So we'll see how that one goes. Another matchup is John Cena versus The Fiend Bray Wyatt in a Firefly Funhouse match. I don't know what this match is all about, but must be a bunch of whole nutty shit. So we'll see how that goes. We'll see how everything takes place. A fatal 5-way elimination matchup for the SmackDown Women's Championship. You got Bayley, the champion, against Lacey Evans, Naomi, Sasha Banks, and Tamina. It would be ironic if Sasha Banks actually wins the title. That'll be very, very ironic. Next up, you got AJ Styles against The Undertaker in a Boneyard match. I don't know what a Boneyard match is, but I enjoy the promo that The Undertaker gave to AJ Styles. So I thought that was very, very good. And it kind of reminded me of the American Badass back in 2002, 2003. So, yeah, I remember those days as well. Someone booked me there. Anyway, Kevin Owens versus Seth Rollins. It's a singles match. I'm surprised this is not a no DQ. But based on the promos they were cutting, I don't really give a fuck about this match, to be honest with you. I hope Kevin Owens wins because I think Seth Rollins, I used to like Seth Rollins at one point, but now I think he's a fucking douche. So anyway, the next matchup I see is a triple threat ladder match between The Miz and John Morrison versus The New Day, Big E, and Kofi Kingston, and then the Usos. Now, before I say anything further, The Miz is not slated to be on the show. Apparently, he has gone home, stood home, played safe, started a self-quarantine, whatever the fuck. Whatever, it's not a big fucking loss. I don't really give a shit. Hopefully, this ladder match does pretty good. Anytime they put on a ladder match, it's always exciting. So, hopefully, this will be something worthwhile to watch. Okay. The next matchup for the Raw Tag Team Championships, you got the champions, the Street Profits, Angelo Dawkins and Montez Ford, taking on Austin Theory and Angel Garza, which was originally supposed to be Humberto Carrillo, but I guess battling Andrade, but I guess that didn't happen. Andrade has an injury. So let's see how this goes from here. Aleister Black is going to take on Bobby Lashley, and I don't give a fuck about that match. Aleister Black, hopefully he wins that one, but I don't give a fuck about that match. Elias versus King Corbin, I don't give a fuck about that match either. Who gives a shit? Edge versus Randy Orton, last man standing match. I'm looking forward to that one. And I think Edge probably going to win that one. Real briefly. And then the other three matches going on. We have the Intercontinental Championship match between Sami Zayn and Daniel Bryan. The Women's Tag Team Championship match. The Kabuki Warriors, Asuka and Kairi Sane against Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross. Bliss, Cross, Applesauce. Jesus Christ, I can't even get it. I got tongue-tied. And then you got Otis versus Dolph Ziggler. And I would say I don't give a fuck about this match, but actually I kind of do. And I hope Otis wins. If Dolph Ziggler is booked to win, Vince McMahon is a cock. And I think that's exactly what he is. Especially with the mid-card telling. He's a cock. But anyway, that's WrestleMania for you this year. And it's going to be held in a record attendance of 0. Of course, of the COVID-19 pandemic going on right now. Everyone's under fucking lockdown. And those stupid assholes that are roaming around the streets don't fucking get it. So fuck them. Anyway. All right. It's time to review a little bit of wrestling here. And what I decided to watch different shit because I reviewed WWE and AEW, but I also review like shows from the independent ranks. And I'm going to talk a little bit about PCW, but we'll talk about that in a little bit. MLW Fusion. I saw that episode from back in March the 23rd. Or excuse me, March the 21st, actually. There was 3 matches that were going on, and there was some promo work done by what is his name? Richard Holiday. Yeah, there was some promo work that was done there, and he cuts a good promo, especially when he's a fucking heel. This guy's gonna be a future master heel someday. So if I were you guys, I'd keep an eye on him. And then there was also another segment with L.A. Park and his son, Hijo de la Parca. They were having a little cooking segment, which I thought was pretty fucking hilarious. Especially when he tells when he's making sausage and eggs. And he's telling him, basically it's an innuendo there, saying, you gringos, comes un chorizo entero. Trying to say, hey, eat the eggs and sausage, which means eat dick and balls. That's basically an innuendo there. I thought that was pretty fucking hilarious. Anyway, so I turn up on MLW and I go on the YouTube page, and I checked out MLW Fusion. This is episode 101 that I'm reviewing. We'll talk about 102 some other time. So I looked it up, and the first match I see was Senshi versus El Lindaman. El Lindaman, as you know, worked with T-Hawk and CIMA. They're from that Chinese wrestling promotion over there in China, and they also wrestled in Japan. So their group right there is T-Hawk, CIMA, and El Lindaman. All of them have wrestled in AEW before, so they have made at least one appearance there. I think they might have wrestled against I don't know if it's Jurassic Express or somebody. I have no idea. I have to double check on that, but they have credentials. So anyway, Senshi takes up against El Lindaman, and boy, these guys are fucking talented. You know, it starts off with a standoff after an attempted cradle. The match picks up pace, and then the Santon Atomico was countered as Lindemann hits the tope suicida, which they're already starting to do some risk taking moves right here. So I thought this was a good little match. There was some good kicks and some counters, and Lindemann counters a cutter and all that, pulls an armbar on Zenshi, and then he makes the ropes and stuff. So that was good. They've been the German suplexes here and there, gets a belly to belly, then under to the buckles, and that was pretty much a risk taking move there. But it was very physical. I found that matchup very good. I think Zenshi looked really good. But I also thought that Lindemann carried most of the match here. So the way this matchup ended was when Zenshi countered into a Pele kick, and then when they were all punching and kicking and trading strikes with each other, and then they were working into counters, and then Lindemann goes into a counter into a Blue Thunder bomb, and then gets a 2 count. Then the Tiger suplex finishes it, and then Al Lindemann ends up beating Zenshi. And it was a good little match. I thought it was one of Zenshi's cleaner MLW outings, as Lindemann really reined him in, I guess, some smart work throughout. So I thought that was very good. And then after the matchup, the Von Erichs, Davey Boy Smith Jr., and Killer Cross cut a promo. And I shit you not, Davey Boy Smith Jr., not only does he look like his father, but he talks like Bret Hart. I see a crazy fucking resemblance there. And then Killer Cross, he's a powerhouse on his own, 6'4" and fucking 250 something pounds. This guy is a beast. He'll fuck anybody up. He'll beat any of his opponents up. So trust me, this is definitely worth checking these guys out, especially if you haven't seen them wrestle in the indies. I suggest checking them out. We don't know where Killer Cross is going to end up. Rumor has it that WWE might take him. So let's see how that goes. We mentioned before about the Richard Holiday is getting interviewed, makes fun of Mance Warner's mystery opponents or whoever, thinking who it will be. Corpse of Carlos Colon. I thought that was a hilarious joke. That was also a jab. Anyway. And then we see a promo from the Contra unit. We see Samuel cutting a promo, building their army and preparing for upcoming war. And, Jacob Fatu is one of the most phenomenal athletes I have seen. Never have I ever seen a 315-pounder move like a 160-pound cruiserweight. I have never seen the guy's a beast. He's a freak athlete. I suggest whoever he's booked, I suggest you see him wrestle, because it's just nothing short of fucking phenomenal. Anyway, we see Mance Warner drank a lot of beer and made a lot of phone calls, and because it comes up to the ring, I guess he's in no condition of picking his opponent or whatever. And then before you know it, he said who his mystery man is for his mystery opponent to Richard Holiday, and it's the Blue Meanie, with the BWO music and everything. And Blue Meanie versus Richard Holiday for a match. Mance Warner's out there drinking with his case of beers. He is drinking Bud Lights. I would have preferred Modelo's or Pacificos or Stella or Twa. Anyway, so he joins commentary, and then during the matchup, they stall for a little bit. Holiday ended up mocking Blue Meanie as Blue Meanie struts and dances. Holiday wants to dance together, and it's a trap because Holiday ends up attacking. That's like a true heel thing right there. There's not really much to talk about in this matchup. It's just like a special surprise appearance to a former alumnus wrestler that used to wrestle in the ECW. So I'm pretty sure that he was. It was very very nice to see Blue Meanie from formerly the BWO and ECW to be making a one-off appearance here. But anyway, Mance ended up distracting Holiday. They argue. Holiday takes a beer and spills it out. Mance Warner missed him with beer, and Holiday is counted out. The Blue Weenie wins via countout. The angle advancement was fine in this match, but the match itself was not good. It just wasn't good. But I'm not going to be hating too much on it too much. I just didn't like the match. But whatever. I mean, Richard Holiday, keep an eye on him though, because he looks like he could be an asshole of a heel. And that could be a perfect work there to go out with him right there. So I think he might be someone to keep an eye on. Okay, next up is Injustice comments on their issues with AAA or AAA, claiming they actually have no real beef, but they have an issue with MLW using other stars when they are the real stars. Oliver says he will take care of Pillman next week. So that's promo they're indicating about the next episode, which we will check out probably next week, and I'll give you my opinions on it. And they advertise Low Key versus King Mo, and trying to put King Mo over and say that he's coming into Low Key's world now. They have no beef, but Mo ran his mouth, and he will make Mo kick shit-faced. It's funny. It's funny about that shit. And then we mentioned something about the L.A. Park cooking segment. It's corny, but at the same time, I thought it was fucking funny. And he's also telling lacking of a cutting board and starts getting pissed off. And then all the gringos need to eat this championship meal. And then he says, and quote, "Cómete un sausage entero," which means eat the entire sausage. So yeah, yeah, that was pretty fucking funny right there. If you're not a Spanish speaker, then you probably know. If you don't know what the fuck he said, but basically it's an innuendo joke. An innuendo saying, all you gringos out there, fuck, eat sausage and eggs, which is code for suck dick and balls. So there you go, eat dick and balls, or so to say. Then they made a challenge that Mance Warner challenged MJF to a loser leaves MLW empty arena match. This obviously is a quarantine angle. And, well, I mean, it's something, I guess, to write MJF off as he continues his contributions to AEW. So it's going to be, let's see how they write him off in this show. Okay. So main event time, only 3 matches on the card. And this is an 8-man tag with Tom Lawler, Eric Stevens, Dominic Girini, and Kit Osborne, some short little motherfucker. Looks like a short little Kid Cash with a little bit of beer belly on him. But anyway, he's not that bad. I mean, he makes a little running little fucking asshole. Probably put in a cheap shot or two and then run like a squatted little bitch. But that's how a fucking heel should be. At least in my opinion, that is. So Tom Lawler, Eric Stevens, Dominic Girini, and Kid Osborne against the Von Erichs, which is the MLW Tag Team Champions, Davey Boy Smith Jr., and Killer Cross. Well, everybody got some time to shine in this matchup. Everyone started brawling. They all started spilling to the floor. And then they started pairing off, and then their faces take early control, and they started fighting around ringside. Took quite a bit of a while for them to settle down into the ring. And then it became a basic tag match, and then it would take a little bit of control. So then Cross, misses a charge shot on Stevens and then rushes the ring, and Girini ends up tagging in. The heels isolate Cross as Stevens take the heat. Quick tags and double teams follow, and then they continue to isolate and pick up the near falls. So, I like where this matchup was going, and I think Killer Cross got some good time, and I think the Von Erichs did. Although I think I think the heels definitely. There's nobody that looked weak here in this match, at least in my opinion. So anyway, Cross ends up tagging in, especially after Ross hits a desperation Enziguri. Killer Cross tags in. Ross Von Erich tagged in Killer Cross. Runs wild with suplexes, then works over Lawler until Lawler cuts him off. Then Cross ended up popping him, and then he hits the Saito. We get a referee bump at the end of the matchup. Kip low blows Davey Boy Smith, and then he gets a chair, and then Marshall just claws him with it. Marshall Von Erich claws him right in the face, and then the claw slam follows, and then the moonsault that connects to the on the faces will win. Von Erichs, Davey Boy Smith Jr., Killer Cross end up picking up the victory in this matchup, and it was a really solid match. You know what I mean? I can't say it was the best main event, but I think this match really showcased all the skills to everybody. I just kind of wish that this match had a little bit more time, because it kind of did feel a little rushed, you know. But I'm not going to be hating on it. So anyway, so to give my official ratings on this show here, Zenshi versus El Lindaman. That match was a 7.5 out of 10. That was good. It had some wrestling ability there. The Blue Meanie against Richard Holiday, I give that match a 3.5. And the reason why I give it a 3.5 is it showcased Richard Holiday, but it showcased the Blue Meanie. And the match was short. You know? It was just a advancement angle, pretty much. Much less a fucking wrestling match, so... It was an advancement angle between Mance Warner and then, of course, Richard Holiday with the Elites and, of course, fucking MJF. So, this is just a way to advance the storyline, so to say. Okay, and then, of course, the 8-man tag, you know, I give this one a 6.5 out of 10. I would have given a 7.5 out of 10 if the match was longer. If the match lasted about 14 or 15 minutes, I think this would have been a good fucking match. But this match lasted about 8.5 minutes. So it kind of felt a little rushed there. So 6.5 out of 10. Now the heels attack post-match, and the Smith outs Kip through a door with a power bomb. So that was a nice little spot. Chris and Smith stand tall before they all brawled and ended up in the back. And then King Mo ended up laying out Killer Cross. Seemingly, he joined Team Filthy. The whole show gets for a 1 hour show, I say it's a 6.5 out of 10. Seems like about the right score there. So that's my opinion. MLW Fusion. If you like the other episodes, check them out. I'm pretty sure on the MLW YouTube channel, so I'm pretty sure they've got more episodes coming up pretty soon, depending if this fucking pandemic fucking ends. So stay the fuck home, motherfuckers. Anyway, I'd like to talk about the next show that I'm about to review. It is about Pacific Coast Wrestling, which is now known as PCW Ultra. I guess the reason why for name changes, I guess there was numerous independent show promotions that were called PCW, so I don't know. But anyway, this was a local Southern California. This is a local Southern California wrestling promotion. That is I discovered it back in 2017. A friend of mine, one of my wrestling buddies, recommended me to this promotion. And they used to do shows in Torrance, California. And then they moved their facilities to Wilmington, California, which is just between San Pedro and Long Beach. And it's this little memorial hall that's rented out. And yeah, so many wrestling venues in the independent scene, they're always done in halls and shit. So, but they did some pretty decent for independent wrestling promotions. They got some good production value. So this is a very good promotion. I definitely recommend. Just to write a quick story here before I review the show. So a friend of mine who is a big wrestling fan, he's the one that recommended me to go to these shows. And I said, yeah, I would like to check out in some indie wrestling because, see, the one thing that I know is that the closest wrestling promotion that I know was in Reseda, California, and that was Pro Wrestling Guerrilla, PWG. A lot of famous names have gone there. A lot of famous wrestling. I mean, names like Kevin Steen, a.k.a. Kevin Owens, Ricochet, Austin Theory, Taya Valkyrie, Tessa Blanchard. Many, many, many wrestling names out there. MJF was one of them. Scorpio Sky, you name it. There was a whole bunch of names. And of course, the wrestlers that wrestle in that promotion currently right now, who knows who's going to accelerate their careers. And they got plenty of talent to this very day. So, and he told me something about independent wrestling shows and stuff. So, and I said, "Oh, what's the closest one they got?" And he said, "Well, before this, I heard of this promotion, PCW. There was PWG, but Pacific Coast Wrestling. Pacific Coast Wrestling is in Wilmington." And I said, "Oh, okay, that's not too far off. I could definitely get a trip over there." And man, the first show I ever went to was a show. It was their first anniversary show called PCW Phantasm. And it was a great fucking show. The main event of that show was Rob Van Dam against Willie Mack, and that was for the PCW Championship, heavyweight championship. And it was a hell of a match. I really enjoyed it. They were brawling from the outside of the ring and all that shit. So that was fun to watch. And then it was a good match. It was a good show overall. I saw stars like Joey Janela, Leo Rush, Jeff Cobb, Low Key. Kevin Sullivan had a stable with Jacob Fatu and Joseph Samuel, who was known as the Almighty Sheik back then. Oh, and then Brody King. Those guys, they fucking phenomenal athletes, and Don Vitale against, and then MVP Montel Fontanius Porter also made an appearance there. So that was was something I really enjoyed, and I said to myself, I recommend anybody who is a big fan of pro wrestling in the independent scene, go check out PCW. I've gone to at least 7 or 8 shows. I almost went to every single show last year in 2019. I almost went to every single show. I missed out on the anniversary show because I didn't get tickets in time. But of course, I was barely starting to work multiple hours because I was working long hours back in those days. I went to Wrestle Summit. I went to Mindcrawler. No Quarter, Into the Void. They're the most recent show that they did before the quarantine started. And Anniversary 2K20. That was a great fucking show. Definitely one of the best they've ever done, in my opinion. And we were going to go to this one called Future Now, and it was supposed to be on March 27th. That was until quarantine fucked everything up. Thank you guys for spreading that fucking shit. And now you're not practicing social distancing, you stupid motherfuckers. You guys ought to be hung in a fucking parking lot. But anyway, so back to the matter at hand. That's a promotion. PCW, they changed it to PCW Ultra. I guess they just wanted to avoid, any issues. But PCW Ultra. I mean, if you're ever in the SoCal area after this quarantine's over, and then you look up Pacific Coast Wrestling Ultra, I got to tell you, it's one of the best shows in Southern California. Best wrestling in Southern California, in my opinion. Bar none. One of the best. And I definitely check those guys out. You never know who's going to show up to the shows. They've had Hornswoggle there. They had Mick Foley. They had Standaman Hensing there one time. They had Terry Funk. They had Ricky the Dragon Steamboat signing autographs at one point in time. Gail Kim and Christy Hemme were there once. So that was great. I mean, they did a special, especially the meet and greets. The meet and greets are just phenomenal. I just pay $100 per ticket just to get that. This is pretty awesome with the meet and greets. You get their merchandise, you get to sign autograph 8x10s. You can take a picture with them. Because they're cool as shit. Especially, I always like taking pictures with the tag team champs, War Beast. They're fucking phenomenal athletes. And then you got Victoria Vaughn, aka Viva Van. She's a phenomenal wrestler, and she's up and coming too. And judging by her wrestling skill, because I've seen her Instagram and some of her matches, like she has got the talent, she's got the skills. And you know what? She's going to shape up. The very first Vietnamese American wrestler to ever wrestle pro wrestling, in the independent scene. So, definitely check her out. She's a fucking phenomenal athlete. I give shout out to her, by the way. Anyway, so PCW, Pacific Coast Wrestling Show. So I first heard of them back in 2017. The first show they ever did was back in January 9th of 2016. And it was a show called Release the Kraken. Now, I just got a Pivot Share account. And what I did was I got an account and paid a monthly subscription so I could watch some independent wrestling shows. So I could just, not only review some shit, but, also check out what's going on in the world of pro wrestling. Because right now, you are just like everybody else is staying at home, bored as shit, or at least watching some TV doing yourself. Unless you're home playing with your prick. But anyway, so instead I'm watching some wrestling shows from the past. And I checked out PCW's very first show that they ever did. So I went to go and check that out, and this show had only 5 matches on the card. I was told there was 6, but I think there was 5 that they actually put on the DVD or whatever. So I went to check that out, and yeah, it looks 5 matches. Okay, that's cool, I guess. Every promotion starts somewhere. Everybody has humble beginnings, so, hey, do what you got to do. I support these guys no matter what, because they never put on a bad show for me. Especially every time I go in attendance, I always give them credit to where credit's due. I give credit to Don Vitale. He's a fucking hell of a guy, too. You get a guy that knows about professional wrestling, let him run a company, and this is what you get. High quality wrestling, lucha libre, hardcore, hard hitting, strong style, you name it, any type of discipline. But anyway, now I've been talking about this for a while. Let's talk about the first match on the card on the Release the Kraken show, their PCW's inaugural show, Pacific Coast Wrestling. All right, so this is coming from a gym in Torrance, California, called the Oak Street Gym. It's a dingy little building with a bunch of basketball courts put away on the side. Those are obviously visible, but like I said, humble beginnings. Anyway, the first matchup on the show is Joe Graves versus Timothy Thatcher. Now, of course, Timothy Thatcher is now a recruit in NXT. So he just recently signed a deal to wrestle in WWE. So we'll see how that goes from here, and we'll see how that goes as soon as the quarantine's over. So anyway, this matchup is a grappling match. And it's like, like old school. I think it's just a very underrated art in professional wrestling. They start grappling from the start with the referee breaking it up against the ropes. It's nice to see someone doing his job for a change, especially with the referee. Graves can't get control of the legs, so Thatcher escapes with a chin lock for an early standoff. And then they hit the grappling again with Thatcher taking him down and going for the arm. Graves finally tries something different with like a chop to the back, but then Thatcher is right back with a headlock on the mat. A Fujiwara armbar attempt, and then it gets blocked. As it's all grappling so far, I mean, I think I haven't seen a match where it's mostly mat wrestling in a long, long time. I mean, I say this is like 70s shit with modern day shit, so this is kind of it's underrated art. Thatcher stays on the arm and bends the fingers back before switching into a leg lock. Graves has finally had it with this and starts throwing forearms to the head. A cross arm breaker doesn't work either, so Graves snaps off another suplex. Thatcher throws him down by the arm throw, and it's a Fujiwara armbar that makes Graves tap at. It's about a match that lasted about 8.5 minutes. I give the match a 7.5 out of 10. It was classic style matchup. And I thought that was very, like, a lot of mat wrestling. So, yeah, I mean, it's a very underrated thing going on. So, you just don't see that much in professional wrestling in this day and age, especially in the 2010s decade. So, I mean, I give credit to Timothy Thatcher, especially he comes out with that Imperium music. But anyway, that's just me. Now, before the next matchup starts, we have an attorney guy here named MK, and demands respect and silence and blah blah blah. You can tell he represents the almighty Sheik, Joseph Samuel, and he's gonna face off MVP in the main event. Because it's a no holds barred, unsanctioned match, so it's going to be different then. So obviously he's getting some heat with the crowd. With the crowd, and MVP is nothing more than common street criminal, blah, 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 blah. It's cue MVP to respond. He ends up insulting MK's clothing and steals his line about speaking slowly. Yes, MVP is an ex-con, but he's turned things around since then, including winning titles and kicked out of The Undertaker's chokeslam. Kane set him on fire, so why would he be scared of the Sheik? So he said that MVP is Sheik's bitch. And then MVP lays him out with a shot to the face and gives him world's strongest slam set up in the ball and the elbow. But MK bails out and he ends up leaving. So that's just an early segue into the main event that will be coming up at some point later on in the show. So anyway, so the next matchup, the Classic Connection versus the Keepers of the Faith. The Classic Connection, that's Levi Shapiro and Buddy Royale, and they have a masked manager named Fat Dick Johnson. And then this guy has a luchador mask, and he has a weird country southern accent. And I said to myself, yeah, this guy fucking is a dork. He just sounds really fucking ridiculous. It's just fucking like obnoxiously stupid. But I think it was just part of the gimmick. I think they're just going for stupid in that part. So it was like, Danny, you can't tell me that I'm not ugly. Because I ain't guilty about telling you to shut up. I ain't guilty to tell you to shut up. Only thing I'm guilty about is how too damn handsome I am. Fucking idiot. So anyway, Fat Dick Johnson, what a fucking moron he is. I mean, I'm pretty sure, when I'm saying he's a fucking moron, I meant like, television character wise. I don't mean like personally. I'm pretty sure he's a good guy. But, like I said, this gimmick fucking stupid. Fucking dumb. Anyway, how did the matchup go? Well, here the matchup goes. Keepers of the Faith is a tag team. That's Don Vitale and Gabriel Gallo. By this time, they would have been defending tag team championships a year later, but unfortunately, Gallo had a career, almost a career-ending injury. So sad to say that, but what can you do? Just part of the wrestling. So anyway, so after Connection and Fat Dick Johnson just cuts a stupid ass promo. The Connection stalls on the floor for a good while as we wait around for an opening bell. We can't get an opening bell yet either, as we get a weapons check and then an argument over who should start. That's funny. The heels are actually disagreeing with who's starting the match. So eventually it's Royal and Gallo. Gallo start, and then Royal's being smart enough to kick Gallo in the ribs instead of trying to test his strength. So that's a heel move right there already. Royal tries a suplex and then slams him on the back and forth, both of which are reversed into the ring, to the real thing by the much stronger Gallo. Then Shapiro comes in and is knocked outside with a single shoulder. The Connection take a breather on the floor until Shapiro comes back and continue with fact action, because that's what they were doing. It just kept the action going a little bit here. It was kind of like a missed charge given by Shapiro, a breather. But, Vitali comes in for a Death Valley driver, then Vitali misses a moonsault but gets two anyway. Followed by diving onto Royal for a bonus. So, as far as this matchup, like I said, it started breaking down like right before the match ended, and then Vitali speared Royal and then leaves Gallo to clothesline Shapiro for two. And then the referee realized that Shapiro isn't legal. The melee lets Johnson get in with a cane shot to Gallo and then give Royal the pin. And heels win this one here. This match might not have been the quality of the first, but this was a bit more entertaining with the old school tag formula. So, I kind of find that there, it felt a bit old school. Just like the previous matchup where it was just a lot of old school mat wrestling there. It was longer than it needed, though. And then, Johnson's stuff got a little annoying in a hurry because, like I said, it's a stupid fucking gimmick. But, what can I say? I could always go for a little old school tag team match through and through. And the Connection worked well, is kind of like if they're trying to be like Midnight Express knockoff. So, the only thing is it didn't fucking work. But whatever, I ain't hating on it. I give the match a 6.5 out of 10. There's elements that I liked and there's elements that I didn't like, but it was a very solid outing. So I give the matchup some credit there. So 6.5 out of 10. That was pretty good. All right, next matchup was JR Kratos versus Dylan Drake. And Kratos was part of the GFW AMP tapings, back then when Impact Wrestling was having some troubles financially and socially. Dixie Carter was being a bitch, and, she wouldn't sell the company to Billy Corgan or whatnot. Jeff Jarrett still had a stake in it, but, it started to fade away pretty fast. Dylan Drake, on the other hand, comes out in a Ric Flair-style robe, and he seems to have retired from wrestling since this was taped, because, to be honest with you, we haven't really seen him since then. I haven't really heard anything about him either, so... But anyway, Drake's running boot before the bell is shrugged off as Kratos ended up setting him outside for an early breather. Back in, and then Kratos hits a fireman's carry takeover, which ended up sending Drake bailing to the floor once again. So, Kratos easily takes him down as the grappling can begin. And then Drake tries to put him in the triangle choke that doesn't work so well. And then Kratos ended up power bombing against him. It was a 2 count cover right there. And they had a leg lock going on there, followed by like a leg drop to to the leg for a bonus. So, um, there was a lot of leg locks to hold Kratos down in place for a bit. And then the leg is fine enough to whip Drake hard into the corner. Crouching against the post makes it even worse for Drake, and then running a good knee, which was a very good knee. Took him to the side of the head and knocked him silly. So it was kind of an effective move. And then when they get back in, and Kratos gets a 2 count off of drop kick, and then knee pain, he was trying to sell the knee injury. It was an inspired delay, meaning that the cover only gets a 2 count, so he was just selling that. And the fact that it was just a drop kick, So Drake flips him off out of a general stupidity. So Kratos hits him with a power bomb and a wheelbarrow suplex for another 2 count. And then Drake power bombs him onto the knee, gets another 2 count. And, with a false finisher too here or there, even with feet on the ropes, that shrugged off. And it's choke slam into a sit-out power bomb, a.k.a. the game changer. And then put the pin on Drake. And this match, to be honest, was a bit underwhelming. And I think it was... I think it was a 5 out of 10. I mean, Kratos looked good, but the match was just kind of... kept going until it got to an ending. And then, to me, I felt it was a little bit dragged longer than necessary. So... Drake was nothing memorable in this slightest, and it was working a bit an old school style without the energy or emotion that it would have made it feel special. So it wasn't that good of a match. It was a 5 out of 10. It was just meh. So, I mean, like I said, there's no hating. I mean, there's no hating with talent. It's just that the fact that, there's just... It didn't really... It felt like a match that was just dragging a little too long. So I was just like, whatever. Anyway, next matchup. Scorpio Sky taking on TJ Perkins. Perkins hadn't been in the WWE yet at this point. But he's pretty much exact the same here. Everything actually... We get streamer treatment, because if you're an indie wrestling fan, a lot of the high talent guys get streamers thrown into the ring. So, that's like a traditional shit that started in Japan. So there's a bit of easy stalling there. They kept talking about Scorpio Sky being in Championship Wrestling from Hollywood. They hit the mat, and then finally they start a pair of flips. Then it gets into a standoff. So, hey, that's pretty cool. So we're already off to a good start here. And Sky takes over with a wrist lock. Perkins spins around into one of his own, and then starts wrestling him a little bit. I think it was a drop kick that Perkins nipped up. So Sky claims a hair pull, that's a fucking joke because he's bald, so it was just a fucking joke. Sky took over, he stomped away. He only got a head scissors right back down. He grabbed the leg, gets Sky out of trouble, and then the announcers talk about Sky's recent success in mixed martial arts. Another head scissors gets TJ out of trouble. And then it's like a basement drop kick, so Perkins can pose like a little bit. But anyway, I just thought that this match, with doing a little bit of something like the way Pentagon Jr. or Pentel Zero Metal, snapping the arm a bit out of Pentagon, and Perkins is, Scorpio Sky is beating his ass pretty much, and then all of a sudden Perkins comes up with a comeback. And somehow with Perkins as the face, it seems like who looks at him and sees a face. This guy gets in the knee, stops to stare at and glare at the camera for a minute, and then hits another backbreaker. And then at least this time he bends Perkins back over a little bit, and a knee to mix it up a little bit, and then hit the camel clutch. a la Iron Sheik style. But since it's a bit too thrilling because there's a lot of back and forth here going up, it's another knee to the back and a chin lock to tone it down a bit. That gives the announcers a chance to talk about Sky coming in the show straight from his grandmother's funeral, just to perk things up a bit. Giving him a little bit of sympathy to Scorpio Sky. I mean, sympathize. But when we're talking about a wrestling match here, that's I'm pretty sure he came to show up for, and boy did he show up for this one. So anyway, Perkins starts fighting back and forth with him, and starts getting the shrug off to any attack that Scorpio Sky had, and then we had a double knockdown for a minute, and then like the Sky is the one that's the first one up. Hits a nasty looking German suplex into the corner, but another knee hits the buckle. The suplex into the corner is shrugged off in 10 seconds, so Perkins could hit a springboard missile dropkick to the back, and then meaning it's a roll up for a 2 count. Perkins, TJ Frog splashes his knees, and then gives Sky on his own for a 2 count. And then they're both spent, and the energy has been depleted. And by this time in this matchup, they shrug it out until Sky had a great looking jumping knee to the head, and that was also a false finish for a 2 count. That should have been the finish, in my opinion. So this is about like the fifth, probably like the fourth or fifth false finish right here, because these guys are battling it out. The detonation kick sets up another arm breaker for Perkins, but Sky attacks it up for the break, and that's it for Sky. He hits the ace of spades, like the TKO. He hits an ace of spades, and then the big fat kill, which is a running knee to the face, and it finished off Perkins in a match that I give an 8 out of 10, where I thought it was match of the night, in my opinion. So, yeah, very good stuff. There was a lot of this was going on for an epic here, but I mean, it was more long than great or just plain perfect. But I give it an 8 out of 10. It was the best match of the night, and probably the match the promotion is going to point to in their early days, back in those days. That's understandable in this case too, is they had a long, rather good match, which needed about 3 minutes clipped off to really make the match work. So, yeah, I mean, I really enjoyed the match, and I thought it was very good. This is showcasing what PCW, what Pacific Coast Wrestling could do, and for that one, I'm very happy about that. So, and to this day, I mean, when they did this in their inaugural show, they just showcase all the skills that they're capable of. So there you go. All right. Main event time. MVP, Montel Vontanius Porter taking on the Almighty Sheik. MK, this lawyer of destruction, is accompanying him. This is a anything goes, and to what I know, to my knowledge, I know that this is Joseph Samuel and MLW. Starts throwing chairs into the ring before MVP comes out and is flanked by MK. Hang on, though, of course, as Sheik swings a chair, keep MVP on the floor because apparently he wants to keep him out there. Throw in some big match intros, allowing the commentators to say that Republicans are throwing things at their TVs because a Syrian wrestler is getting this much time. Oh, fuck. That I don't know about that one there. The fucking Republicans are fucking stupid. They like to throw shit at anybody, except for themselves, because they don't like to be responsible for shit. But anyway, MVP comes in with a chair of his own, and then a duel sends Sheik outside for some more stalling tactics can ensue. It's getting kind of old, but the delay ends up MVP throw the chairs out and lay onto the ropes for a bit. They're on the floor in a hurry, as this is likely to be one of them walking brawls, and that's what this was. It was a brawl. It was a brawl when they ended up fighting in the fucking crowd. Sheik ends up getting his Syrian country flag and hits MVP in the back with it. They fight in the crowd with MVP burying him in a bunch of fucking chairs underneath. That lasts all for a few seconds, so Sheik is up with some chair shots. Chair shots to the ribs, followed by more walking through the crowd. Now it's over near the doors and the vending machines, including a trash can shot to Sheik's back. Commentary complains about fans being on their phones during this. I mean, okay, fair enough. It turns into a fight on the floor with MVP choking from the back. Sheik finds his spike for a breather and hits more chair shots, followed by a bottle of mustard to the head. A fucking bottle of mustard. Ain't that some shit? A pile driver goes ensued onto the floor and then encountered with a backdrop. And then Cole, the commentator, starts getting to a rant about Sheik being the reason Americans don't like Syrian refugees. I'm like, oh God, I'm getting fucking political. That's some fucking funny shit. So anyway, so there was just a lot of brawling. There was hardly anything that happened inside that fucking ring. And most of this shit, they started wrestling for at least like 10 minutes in the ring. The last 10 minutes in the crowd, and then like 3 minutes in the ring. And since that time has exhausted, the Sheik heads back inside, and then MVP ends up throwing some more chairs, but loses a spike. A DDT gives Sheik a 2 count. And then here comes MK. And MK comes in, so that means it's time for a fire hit. And then Sheik ends up throwing a fucking fireball in MK's face by mistake as MVP ducked. And then Sheik ends up beating up the referee, and then security comes in, and then that means the match is thrown out. I'm gonna give this a 5.5. Because there should have been more shit happening in the ring. But at the same time, when you have a fucking brawl like this, you're gonna have 8 to 10 minutes in outside brawling in the crowd. You're gonna have another 5 to 10 minutes in the ring. You know what I mean? That's gonna consolidate with time to make this even a match. So, but then again, this is just beginning shit. So everybody learns. We all learn from shit. This was a brawl. Just a wild brawl. Both guys walking around, fighting each other around the ring around the rosy, so to say, until we got into the big angle ending. And of course, say how you like it. If you like matches where they have 2 big brawlers fighting, this would fit in just perfectly. And this was the main event. This match was supposed to be a big fucking deal. So it was a good setup, though. Just the match was a little weak, but it was a lot of brawling, and that compensates that. So, the wrestlers came out, and the security guards came out, and they couldn't break up things, so ended up more wrestlers started coming out, spilled them apart, bell rings, and then of course they're Pavillon by nature because they're all fucking fighting each other. So it eventually held back. Sheik leaves, but MVP was the one with the last word, saying, "How about we do this shit again in March? And then when we have the rematch, I might actually think about killing murder that motherfucker." So yeah, the show gets a 6 out of 10. Actually a 6.5 in my opinion, but this was a show of humble beginnings. So, I definitely think about. I think this was just the beginning of something big, in my opinion, because eventually, company ended up evolving, and when a company evolves, when it learns from its mistakes, because sometimes you don't look at failure as something to keep you down. You look at failure as a learning lesson to do something even better in the future. And the way I see it, this may have not been an epic showdown, but this was a show that introduced a new line of light to show in the independent world, in the independent wrestling scene, to showcase more talent, to showcase more in-ring ability, to showcase up-and-coming talent that are world-renowned athletes that are going to be pretty soon showcasing their skills to an audience. And wrestling fans are going to gain their respect. They're going to gain their support for them. And they're going to gain more fans this way. So, and ever since then, I think personally, PCW has been doing this, and they've been a hell of a promotion that they've been doing here in SoCal. So I appreciate the contributions they've been doing for the scene here in Southern California. They've been doing an excellent job. I give Don Vitale credit. I also give many credit to those that contribute to the company, especially those. And you know what? Once this bullshit with the COVID-19 is over and done with, we're gonna find that we're gonna start this shit again, and we're gonna start getting tickets to shows, and we're gonna start seeing these shows. And trust me, once it starts again, it's gonna be epic. It's gonna be a showdown like no other. So I give kudos to PCW Ultra. Okay, now I wanted to mention something about I saw AEW Dynamite last week, and a lot of people were criticizing about Matt Hardy's teleportation powers. Because if you've seen it, AEW, All Elite Wrestling, they were able to take advantage of a crowdless empty arena. And it was a pre-taped segment with Chris Jericho. Matt Hardy teleported, yes, literally teleported from one empty attendance seat to another until he made all his way down to the ring. Judging from the social media response, this actually got quite a bit of criticism. And, a lot of fans complained about the idea of Matt Hardy using instant transmission on live television being way too goofy. But isn't wrestling itself the goofiest thing in the world? If you think about it. What is wrestling? But it's professional athletes simulate combat. I don't use the word fake because fake is a fucking wrong word to use. I don't like it when someone calls it fucking fake. Every time someone says wrestling is fucking fake, I just want to fucking slap you in the fucking face. But it's simulated fighting. But anyway, so now we're under this disguise of this. All under the guise of over-the-top characters, such as, including a dead man who isn't dead anymore, but sometimes he rides a motorcycle and is married to Michelle McCool. So, on paper, that sounds ridiculous, but we love wrestling for the exact kind of ridiculousness, Ergo, fans should be loving everything they see about Matt Hardy. So when we equate such goofiness to Matt Hardy, teleportation is at least goofy characteristic about him. And especially since this is the same broken Matt Hardy who owns a lake in reincarnation, once ran from his brother as he shot fireworks at him and houses pet animals with encompass the souls of famous historical figures like George Washington and Abraham Lincoln. What the fuck, It's all smoke and mirrors. So, this is like a theater personified with wrestling in itself and theatrics mixed with live sport. So, Hardy teleporting is no less worse than Undertaker doing a thunder pyrotechnics. So, I just think in my opinion, whatever. not gonna criticize it so much, but I definitely, it's part of the entertainment aspect of what makes professional wrestling good. You know what I mean? Especially when it simulates combat and simulates unbelievable athletic situations. So, I think personally, a lot of people see this as stupid because I think are some people are actually thinking that, you know, people want to see a soap opera of this show because some people are used to the WWE style, providing storylines with the overproduction value that comes with it, especially with a bunch of fucking ass clowns that don't know how to write a production show and can't even come and write a decent fucking storyline. So, I personally think, we're too used to that shit. And I think that I think when AEW tries to kind of step it up a little bit, there's always going to be someone that's going to bitch and moan about that. So, especially the internet trolls. There's a lot of fucking in them motherfuckers out there. And it's just fucking dumb. It's just fucking dumb, and it's just fucking stupid. I think we should just enjoy wrestling as a whole, and just whatever the product gives us. I'm pretty sure there's meaning towards it. If it starts getting stupid, then people will think it's stupid. If you think it's stupid, change the fucking channel. It's that fucking simple. I I'm not hating on these talents because I think personally you are obligated to like what you like. So, personally, I think AEW is doing a better job than NXT at this point when it comes to making a show matter. So, it's not a dumb clown show, that they're doing on their part. It's not a dumb clown show, like the way they're treating Monday Night Raw and Friday Night SmackDown. Like if I'm fucking stupid and insulting the wrestling fans' intelligence. They think we're fucking test dummies. And that's how you lose wrestling fans in the process there. Speaking of test dummies and dummies all around, I have one more thing to say. I'm going to close the program with this segment. Donald Trump is on the news again. This fucking clown is having his fucking daily news conferences one more time. He fucking gets interviews in the White House. Made a number of false or misleading claims about the coronavirus. And then the efforts to combat it. At some point, some people that point him at odds with health experts and then prompted clarifications for his own top health and science officials that he appointed. And a lot of people have fucking fact-checked some of his stupid opening statements and then he either made or repeated at various points during his ongoing global crisis. So how many fucking false claims has he made? Like 30, 40 in one fucking week? This is the fucking best we've done here, folks. This is what this country has to offer. This country is becoming a shit circus. Like the saying goes, you elect a clown, expect a circus. That's what this fucking country has become. It's become a fucking circus. That's what this has become. And to think for a minute that this fucking piece of pig shit that's living in the White House right now as we speak, with his fucking anorexic daughter and his fucking delusional ass backwards son and his fucking melanoma fucking wife. Do you really think I'm going to take these motherfuckers seriously? No, I'm not. Because, this guy All he does is read fucking cue cards and says the country is going to stay optimistic about the coronavirus situation. And you could tell, Bush, by that stupid fucking voice of his, by that he's reading a fucking teleprompter, and he's not even looking straight in the fucking camera. You could tell he's clearly bullshitting. But that's not the point that pisses me off the most. The point that pisses me off the most is the fact that people actually buy his shit, buy the shit that he's actually saying. And to you stupid motherfuckers out there that think that this is actually that he's actually doing a very good job at this, guess what? You're fucking gullible. You stupid mongoloid, dumb, degenerate, cock sniffing, jock snacking, fucking knuckle dragging, mouth breathing fuckers. This is what you guys fucking have developed in this country. You can't think for yourself? Let the government take care of this. I don't want to be responsible for what happens. You take care of it, Mr. Government. Fuck you. Fuck anyone that looks like you. If you think that this piece of shit is actually doing a good job, you're a fucking loser of such epic, humiliating proportions, and you need to be fucking buried all the way to your forehead like a carrot in the ground. The shit that I say is this fucking, because this fucking guy is not a fucking leader. He's a fucking backsnabbing, fucking reality television, realty con man who does nothing but a bunch of illegal business practices and probably fucked over so many of his business acquaintances in the past that the reason why he's even become a billionaire, and like I said before, if he's not a billionaire now, he probably will be by the end of this term. So you can know how many suck ups, and especially that Jeff Bezos suck up that likes to blow you every time you fucking have cue cards for him to read in a press conference in the White House. So fuck you and fuck y'all that support him, because him and that fucking ghoulish looking motherfucker Mike Pence, who looks like the ghoul from Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey, and fuck Mitch McConnell too. The ugly, truffle-faced looking piece of pig shit that he is. Fucking Kentucky fried chicken eating motherfucker. Well, on that note, I think it's time we wrap up this podcast. I think I've had enough of what I had to say, especially to that piece of shit Donald Trump and his stupid fucking crooked ass criminal Donald Trump, and Donald Trump J. Jr. And by the way, if he were ever to listen to me and say, you wouldn't have the guts to fucking say it to his fucking face. Yes, I would. I would say it to his fucking face, and if he were to fucking punch me, I will fucking whine like a bitch, and I'll fucking get my attorney, and I'll fucking sue him to fucking jail, asshole. That's what I'll fucking do. I'll definitely say that to his fucking face. But until then, I say it's about time we wrap up this podcast here. Next week, we'll talk more about the AEW Dynamite show from this past week, and if we have any room, we'll probably talk about that week's up-and-coming show, as they're going to continue to do more empty arena shows, at least until this fucking at-home lockdown order is in place. But until then, let's see what happens to then. So, on that note, it's time to end this broadcast. Time to end this podcast. So just a friendly reminder that this is E. Peralta reminding you to wash your ass. See you next time.